Hi everyone, my name is Jen and this is Beast House of Plants, where we talk about all things houseplant and home design. Welcome back. Another day, another episode of my series, The Houseplant Alphabet. This is a series where I introduce you to some of my houseplants, so we talk about my experience growing them and what conditions they're currently getting inside my home. Just my usual disclaimer, I'm not a plant expert of any kind. This is not a definitive care guide. This is just my experience. Alright, let's get into today's topic. We will be talking about the Oxalis Triangularis, also known as the False Shamrock plant. I think this was the first plant that I saw on Instagram that I was like, I need this plant ASAP. And the sad thing was, when I saw it, it was like wintertime, so I could not get my hands on this. So that's because this plant is a perennial plant, which means that it pretty much only grows during a growing season, and then it tends to go dormant in the fall to winter time, which is pretty much like now. So in the spring and summer months, my oxalis was even fuller than this. It has just started to kind of die back a little bit, I think because the temperature here in California has dropped quite dramatically in the last 2 weeks. It honestly still looks pretty full and pretty happy. I was considering, we'll talk about it later, but I was considering deadheading it, but honestly it still looks pretty good, so I'm gonna wait a little bit while on that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about this plant. So this plant, it grows from I think they're like similar to tubers, but not exactly tubers. I think the correct terminology for this oxalis plant is, it's called like corms. So it grows from like these rhizome like bulb situations that you plant into the soil, and then it sprouts these awesome shamrock looking like leaves. This one's purple, but they come in different colors. I also have another one that is green. The really cool thing about this plant is that it kind of flaps its leaves like butterflies. So in the daytime, obviously it'll spread it like this, and then at night it'll start to close up. So it's getting late here, so you can see this one is starting to close up, and then, you know, by the time it's like fully dark outside, they'll be completely shut, and then as the light comes out in the morning, it'll start to expand all of its petals again. So it looks like a butterfly flapping its wings when you put it on like a time lapse or something like that. There's plenty of videos on that on Instagram. They are so mesmerizing to watch. I think that these plants are actually very easy to take care of, especially because they regrow very nicely and very quickly. So I've actually deadheaded this plant several times already this year, and it grows back every single time, and it looks better than ever every single time. So for lighting, I currently have this in my east facing window, and I think that's really good lighting for it. It gets a lot of good morning sunlight, but no like direct harsh light. I have put it under grow lights before, but I think I prefer putting it in natural daylight, especially with like a very nice bright window, because I feel like it gets better movement and it can cycle itself with the day a little bit better than when you put it under grow lights, because my grow lights, I time it based on my schedule and not like the sun's schedule, and I feel like sometimes I leave my daylights on a little long, so it might stress this plant out a little bit. Also the leaf, like the petals, are a little bit more sensitive, so they can get a little bit sun bleached. Haven't really experienced sun bleaching with this one, but I do think it can happen. So for watering, I normally try to not let this dry all the way out, but I do let it like dry like about halfway out in between waterings. They don't do very well with underwatering. They tend to lose leaves pretty quickly with underwatering, but like I mentioned before, they are very good at regrowing. So if you do happen to underwater and you lose some leaves, just chop them up and then, you know, start taking care of the plant, and within like a week or two it'll start to sprout up little baby leaves again, and then it'll be back in jiffy in no time. Oh, you can see this one right here. This one is smaller and just starting to grow. There you go. It's definitely much smaller, so it's probably new from all the other leaves. You can see even in like the past like 5 minutes, you can see that the plant is starting to close a lot of its leaves now, because I think it was here earlier, directly underneath a grow light, and then I pulled it to show you, so it's no longer directly underneath a grow light, so it's signaling to the plant it's time to go to bed now. So yeah. Okay, so for humidity, I really don't put this in any special humidity whatsoever. It's just an ambient room humidity, which for me is around 50%. I'm sure I'll appreciate it if you give it more humidity, but I definitely don't think it is necessary at all. I think it's more so important that you give it adequate water and a good source of natural lighting. This plant is hard to get your hands on any other time of the year, but as soon as spring hits, these are literally like everywhere. They are so fun. So I've seen, this is my first winter with an Oxalis plant, and I read in a lot of places that you should deadhead your plant as soon as winter hits and dig up all of the like the bulbs and store them away until the springtime. I'm debating whether or not I want to do that because I was going to, but honestly mine still looks pretty good, so I'm probably going to wait for it to like either A, naturally die back, or looked so scraggly that I then decided to store it, but so far looks pretty good. I don't think these need a whole lot of fertilizer. I usually just use whatever I'm already using to fertilize other plants, so sometimes I get a little bit of fish emulsion diluted, sometimes they get a little bit of synthetic fertilizer. I don't think they're too fussy about it. I don't really think they need it either, especially since they have like kind of a limited life, especially like some of these leaves. Like, although you know the plant itself is active for a season, each leaf usually isn't active for a full season. They die off pretty quickly and then just new one comes out. So I don't think I'm like too fussed about fertilizing this ever. I usually just do whatever is convenient. Okay, let's talk about propagation. I have heard like from like Instagram that you can propagate. Okay, so let's talk about propagation. I have heard that you can propagate this plant from a stem, but I've never tried it, so I don't know if that's true. I like initially definitely did not think that that was true, but I think I saw a photo of someone doing it, so I don't know. I definitely will have to try that at some point and report back to you if you've ever propagated your Oxalis via stem cutting. Let me know in the comments. But you can definitely divide this plant as a method of propagation. So yeah. Okay, so I think that's all the information about this plant. If I missed anything, let me know in the comments down below. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like it, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!